Hi, I'm Dave, and I'm going to show you how to install and use the buttonhole attachment for industrial machines. I'm putting it on a DDL 8700. So let's open this up. We have our instructions. They're not awful, but they're certainly not great. We're going to pull out the buttonhole attachment, the screws, and the feed dog cover plate. When it comes to the machine itself, you'll use the buttonhole screw right here. This is a zigzag adjustment screw. This right here is your button length adjustment. So S for short, L for long. I also went through and at the point added a little dot of white. It's hard to see. There it is. That way I can more easily make my adjustments. Cutting space, which is how wide your buttonhole is, like on the inside. And depth of stitch, which is works in collaboration with this one for how wide your individual zigzag will be. And I also put white dots here and here. Let's see if I can move this so there's no glare. And you can see where the white dots are. I also colored it in orange so I can better see when I'm making adjustments. This is the only one that's really difficult to see while it's on the machine, because you actually have to lean around while it's on the machine. It's right here and you have to lean around. It's in the back. So I try to set this before I even start. So if I'm making a large buttonhole, I'm going to loosen that up, drop it down to L, and tighten that back down. And sometimes when making adjustments, you do need to turn the butterfly, but that's okay. So for installing this thing, the first thing I'm going to do is take off my presser foot that I currently have on the machine. Move it off to the side, and I'm going to unthread my needle, and I'm just going to push that up over my light. I'll try to keep that out of the way. Now I need another screw out of the bag to attach. So we're going to use this one for attaching it right here. I'm going to put that in my metal dish. If you don't have one of these, I recommend getting one from, that one's from Harbor Freight because it's super cheap and it serves one purpose. You can pick them up at almost any hardware or automotive store. Then we'll need that one. And this one's the first one right here. So we're going to put this screw into here. And I try to leave this one in, but I took it out last time. Just got to screw it through. I'm not even going to mess with the screwdriver because it takes way too long to try to do that. There we go. So once we have our feed dog cover, I'm going to take the thread from the bobbin, pull it up through the top, and that just helps me find where the hole is. And then when it comes to this part, I have a close and far. I always use the close one. And for this, I recommend a really stubby screwdriver or a really strong, long screwdriver so we can get that into place. And when I'm almost done, I'm going to take my needle, pop it down in that hole. That way I know it's centered. And I don't have to guess. I don't have to try to get close and look to see where the hole is. I just know it's right there. Now that that's tight, I'm going to pull my needle back up. And we have to remove this screw and this screw. I'm going to go ahead and take this one off. That normally holds my presser foot in place, right into my magnet. And I got my snips attached right here with a magnet, so I'm going to pull this magnet down. Unscrew the needle screw right here. Take it out. And the reason why I have magnets everywhere is if I drop it, it's going to fall and most likely hit one of the magnets. Then I'm going to take this right by my thread guide, and just tap on it till it comes down. Make sure my needle's all the way up, and I can slide my needle out while I have a hold of that. Drop it in my little tray, and I don't lose any of my little pieces, as that's no fun. And some of these screws, you can go to like an Ace Hardware or a local hardware where you can get like individual screws. They might have something, but you might also have to order it, and I don't want to order anything. Next up, a lot of people at this point will take the needle out. I'm just going to make sure mine's shoved up in all the way. And it's moved a little bit, so I'm going to make sure my scarf is in the right position. Feeling around for it. That way we're pointed at the bobbin. Move my little dish. And right here is the slot for your presser foot bar. And it's wide enough to where it'll just slide in right there. I'm going to put this through the hole on the side. And then I'm going to lower my presser foot bar. And at that point, it should just want to start going in. I'm going to do this hand tight. I'm not going to wrench it down real hard. But once it's on there, it's not going to want to spin anymore. I'm going to take my screwdriver, put it in the slot, and I'm literally just the smallest of turn to make sure it's attached. Do not over tighten that. That's an important note. Then from there, we're going to take this one. And you want to first, when you do this, you want to at least make it flush. If it's sticking in like that, you won't get it up over where it needs to be. So I'm going to go this way. And there's a reason why I have it pointed forward first, because we're going to, let me move my phone off to this side. We're going to take this little lever, I'm going to push it up. I'm going to hold it up while I spin this. And while I spin this around, you'll have two holes here for your needle setting screw, a bottom hole and a top hole. You want this to go towards the top hole. Once I'm at where the top hole is, I can let go of the lever and tighten this into place. And once I get it most of the way with my hand, I'll take my screwdriver and just turning gently, and then when I feel it stop, just a little bit more, and then that's it. That's all you have to do to install this. It's done. It's ready to go. Next up is threading my needle, and I'll apologize because this always takes me too long to do. Needle threaded, lift up my presser foot, and then I'm going to take the thread down through here so I can get it both out of the way, and we're done. Right now I have my my attachment set up. Hey, screwdriver. We're going to put that in the middle. We're going to go ahead and adjust this one so it's in the middle as well. Like mine has 9 lines from narrow to wide. So that's right in the middle on all of those. Then I'm going to take this one, loosen it up, make sure it's all the way down, and then retighten it. This part right here, it's kind of hard to see. I got too much crap in the way. Let's see if I can zoom in and drop it to where you can see it. This little screw right here, I have an orange dot on the front, so I can tell when I've turned it 1 or 2 full turns. Just as soon as I see the orange again, I know it's made 1 rotation. So, as the machine and attachment are now set up, I'm going to take a piece of fabric, and I do have fabric with interfacing. We're going to put it down right here, like we're about to make a buttonhole. Slide this through, and I'm going to turn my butterfly screw until it goes all the way in. Then it's going to go to the right. Then it's going to start coming out again. And as soon as I see it moving from right to left, we're done. That's where we will start our buttonhole. We're going to pop this down, and we're just going to cycle this through one time. We're not going to do a complete buttonhole. We're going to be using this to make adjustments for the buttonhole. And just let it do its thing. You can go faster than this, you can go slower, it doesn't matter. It's done 1 full rotation. I'm going to lift up my presser foot. pull my fabric out. I'm going to clip my threads. I want to leave them a little long so I don't lose one and have to rethread my needle. Then I'm going to clip my bottom and top thread off this scrap piece of fabric. I know you can't see that right now, so it makes the video kind of boring, but I don't want those extra threads on there. So that was just our base. Everything sit in the middle except for our buttonhole length. And from here we're going to adjust it for making this button. And if you have it set to long, you can turn your butterfly screw. You can place your button right here on the presser foot so you know where you're at. Make sure your needle's all the way up. And you'll know how long this is. This is a 1-inch button. So we can turn and we can see it go the full length of the machine. And that should work. I know it'll work because I've done this a few times already. So we want to adjust this zigzag. So we're going to come in through here. We're going to turn this. I like making bold adjustments. So instead of just doing one turn, there's one, there's two. This one, that screw back here, when I first started playing with the machine, I was turning it one loop at a time or half a turn at a time. And it was taking forever to get noticeable adjustments on that one. So that one, I just do 2 turns. Now we're going to start again. We're going to run it once. And we've ran it one time. Pull it out, clip our threads real quick. Get this. I'm getting all the threads off the front and back. That way, when you're making your buttonhole, if one of those threads is underneath it, it will look bad. And right here, the first one, the second one. There's not a huge difference, even though I turned this twice. So I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to go 1, 2. I'm going to turn that again. And when this one is how I like it, then we'll make an adjustment to that one. So run it one time. And unfortunately, this attachment, you can't just set it and forget it. Like on a domestic machine, when I'm doing a buttonhole, I can just pop in my button, press the button on my machine for the size of the buttonhole I want, and press the pedal, and magically it makes it every time. But it can also be very finicky. So I got this, and there we can see 1, we can see 2, we can see 3, and there's more of a difference between the third one and the first one. But I'm going to come down here once again, get underneath that, and I'm going to turn it once, twice. And by doing this, you get to really learn how the attachment works and get a feel for what it takes to make one of these buttonholes. There we go. We cycled it through one time. Time to clip these threads again. And on the screw back on this side that I'm adjusting, I start with it flush and then I slowly move down. And you can see first and second, there's not much of a difference. Second and third, there's not much of a difference. Now we're starting to see a difference between 3 and 4. This, I like a little bit better. So I'm going to cycle this 3 times. I normally do 3 to 4 for a buttonhole. And depending on how it looks, we might change the depth of stitch or the cutting space. So I'm going to press her foot up, lift my butterfly. Sorry, press her foot up, twist the butterfly, and as I turn it, it only turns towards you. It only turns one direction. As soon as it starts to move that way, I'm done. And I know that'll be the top left of my buttonhole. And then we go down. Clipping my threads real quick. There, I let the machine cycle 3 times, and it's a little wiggly. It's not a super pretty buttonhole. So I'm going to adjust my depth of stitch just a little bit. I'm going to bring it 1 line forward towards the wide, and by making my buttonhole wider, the stitch wider, I know I'm going to have to increase my cutting area as well. So I'm also going to bring it forward 1. And this you can actually make a smaller adjustment and see a bigger difference. Put my snips back up there. And I do this anytime I make an adjustment. I go through and hit the butterfly screw and just come back around and cycle it so I'm at the beginning. Oh, sorry about that. Easy fix. Snip all these threads. And the reason why I'm snipping threads even right here is if that thread gets underneath your buttonhole, it can break your needle really easily with this attachment. And we're getting closer. I don't like how that's right on top of each other, so I'm going to do half a turn back there, and that should be enough to offset my zigzag. If it's not, I'll finish it later. Cycle it, and here we go. And with that, we have the little adjustment back there. So now my zigzag's offset about. I cycled that 4 times. So I can take my seam ripper, and a lot of people will put a pin here and a pin here, but we're just looking at how this is done. So if I actually cut into it, it's no big deal. I'm using like my little tiny baby size seam ripper for some reason. But I'm going to come up to the top, right there, and I'm going to come at it the reverse, just to make sure it's completely open. We're going to grab our 1-inch button, cut my extra screwdriver before it fell off the table, so we're good. Grab our extra button, and it's tight, but it will go through. So at that point, I'm going to grab my seam ripper, just to make sure I'm all the way up at the top, and all the way open at the bottom. There we go. And you want to make sure, do not cut into these, otherwise your buttonhole will come apart, and that's not what we want to do. So we'll try this again. And slides through easily now. So we'll try it the other way. We're good to go. That's a 1-inch button. Now if you want to do a smaller button, or if you want this to have more thread, you can cycle it again. You can increase the cutting space if you want to, or the depth of stitch. But we're going to now try a smaller button, so you can see what adjustments need to be made when you're doing a small button. So this one, I know this button size I'm using is, I think this is our half. I dropped it. I think this is like our 1/2 inch, like 12 millimeter. I know if I make this as small as possible back here, it'll be too small, so I'm going to come down about 1 spot. And it's harder to see on the camera, but if we go, the white dot should be right at that line, or pretty darn close. Normally I set all this beforehand because as I turn my butterfly, I should see this move. I can see this is about 3 lines on the presser foot. So if I turn my butterfly, you can watch it go 1, 2, there's 3, go over 1, 2, 3, and start. So we'll cycle that back to the beginning where we want it. With a smaller button, we also will end up adjusting this because we will need a smaller cutting area. But we're going to run it one time like this with only making that one adjustment. And we have a nice zigzag. We see where it's at. That does look like it will definitely hold this button. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle this again. And you can see it's a little blurry from where you're at, but I'll pull this out, snip these threads real quick. So with that, we can see this is a little bigger than I want for that small button. So I'm going to go to the depth of stitch, and I'm going to take it to about line 4 on 1 through, because there's the 9 lines. So I'm going to take it about number 4. And I also know with the stitch getting wider, I'm only going to take this back to right in the middle. I'm not going to lower it 4. Then we're going to do 1 pass, maybe 2, to see where it happens, because I don't want my zigzags to match up. I want them to be offset for a better looking buttonhole. And I'm going to lose my thread if I start stitching right there, so I'm going to drop my presser foot down, and I lost my thread anyway. So that's no big deal. I'll just cut that last little bit off so it's not frayed, and try to rethread this as quickly as I can. Make sure my needle's up so I can get a little bit more clearance. We're through. So I'm going to now lift my presser foot up, pull that thread through, make sure the bobbin thread is off to the side. Now we can do this again. I'm going to drop that. I know I'm not going to adjust the butterfly because I know we stopped at the beginning of the cycle. So I'm going to press this down. Two passes, pull this through, and let's clip these threads. Pull these off to the side so when we start sewing, they won't be in the way. And right here, that's better, but I think our cutting field can go down a little bit smaller. And every time you make an adjustment, whether it be the cutting space, the depth of stitch, or the stitch adjustment back over here, we might have to adjust another spot. And it's just the nature of the game. But once you get it, it's alright. This unfortunately isn't like, I'm making minor adjustments right here. And went down 1 line, so we're now at line 4. This is line 4, and to offset my zigzag, I'm going to do half a turn. So with the other half a turn I had earlier, we should now be at 1 full rotation. So let's set this back, do another 2 passes, and see how we're starting to look. We clip those threads, and there's first one, second one, third one. That's a little better. I'm going to take the cutting space down just a little bit more, 1 more notch to 3, and I think that'll get me where I want it to be. And a lot of this is personal preference. There's no set you have to do it this way. My way is the only way to do it. So I'm going to cycle this, because I made an adjustment on one of those. As soon as it starts to go from right to left, drop it down, and I'm only going to cycle this 3 times because for a shirt, that should be more than enough, especially if you're using a decent fabric and an interfacing. A lot of people might want to put some glue, like there's thread stay that you can pop on here. Put those back. Let's grab our seam ripper. I'm going to go right into there, right up to the top, and I'm going to come back through the bottom, grab our little button out of our dish, and it goes through. I can open this up a little bit more with the seam ripper to make sure it goes through a little easier. And down through here. And one thing I often will do that I don't always recommend is hitting the back with a lighter. I keep one, and that helps burn out some of the threads in the middle. And you only have to be real quick with that. You don't want to hold it on there. And then you can go through, and shirt button goes through a lot easier that way. Goes through that way, and you're done. And you have nice buttonholes. The downside of this is just the one blocky style buttonholes, but I'm a fan of that, so I don't mind it at all. To take this off, you literally grab your screwdriver, you turn right here, you remove that, and if I take it off, as soon as I take it off, I just put this right in the little plastic bag that came with it. I should probably replace this with a little plastic container, because that plastic bag's going to get worn out. And then right here, some people might want to leave this on the machine. I don't need to. Unscrew it just to where it slides down. Slide this off. Pop that down in the bag. Now when I lift my presser foot up, the attachment just slides out. Then the fun part right here is long screwdriver or a stubby screwdriver is the best for getting this on. The other screwdriver just constantly hits my thread guide, my tensioner, so take this off. And I'm just going to do it by hand enough because I like to leave this screw in. So I'm just turning it just enough to get it out. I'm going to have to use my screwdriver again. Sorry about that. Put a hand there to keep that from turning, and there we go. This comes off. Pop that back in the box. The attachment goes back in the box. And our handy instructions. They're all now back in the box and ready for another day. Then we have to put this piece back on. That needs to go back in the box. I missed that. This piece on mine was very hard to get on and off, so I took a screwdriver this way and a screwdriver this way, and I just turned them back and forth until I opened it up a little bit. And by doing that, I'm able to just slide this right up over the needle, make sure my thread is not in the way, get my thread guide where I want it, and I'm just going to push up on it until I can get my needle set screw back into the bottom hole. Oh, there we go. Press up on this until we can grab our little dish, needle set screw. This is the hard one to put in, but that's not that big of a deal. Move that out of the way. Make it easier to move my fat fingers. Make sure we're pressed up to where it's centered. And this is probably the hardest part, is putting this little screw back in. me see if the screwdriver will help, because I'm not having a lot of luck right now. But hey, it happens. But this is also one of those things that you can encounter when you're installing and removing your industrial buttonhole attachment. Maybe this needs adjusted a little bit. We're good. I hope. See, I'm not having much luck with this, but I'll get it real quick. And the big thing is, don't drop this, because then it might take forever to find it. Let's go up and then bring it back down. A little bit more. Third, fourth, fifth, eighth time, whatever's a charm, right? Oh no, I dropped it. But luckily it stayed right there. I normally throw one of my magnets right there. I love having magnets nearby. They hold my snips. I have one on my machine that holds a sewing needle. I have my little dish, just in case I have any droppables like this, so they won't roll away. Send prayers, folks. I'm going to just take a break from that one for a second one. We'll put our presser foot back on, then we'll come back to that. Anytime you're starting to get a little frustrated, it's best to just walk away. There we go. Feel a little bit better now. Got that one right. I'm going to use the light so I can see, make sure that's perfect. So, try it again. Oh, wow. Little adjustments. I'll get it. I would say, oh no, this is embarrassing, but hey, we all have this happen every now and then. Nobody's perfect. There we go. I did it. Thank you. Hold your applause. You can complain about that in the comment section. I'm okay with that. Press my presser foot a little bit. Snip this, and then I'll be able to rethread my machine. This is a little loose, so I need to tighten it up. There we go, much better. And you're ready to go, and start doing whatever you need to do with your sewing. And as you can see, it was actually much easier to put the buttonhole attachment rather, on the machine than it was for me to replace that little screw, my needle set screw. Snip these. Thanks for bearing with me since the last 5 minutes of video was just trying to mess with that one screw. And to make sure I don't forget later, back in the box. Thanks again, folks. Hope this video helps. Enjoy.